The Arizona desert is wide, dry, and quiet. Miles of sand stretch under the burning sun by day and turn into a cold, dark sea at night. People say that if you stop your car in the middle of those long, empty roads, you can hear whispers carried by the wind. Some call it the sound of the desert, but others say it's the sound of lost souls who'd never made it home. In the summer of 1999, a teenage girl named Emily Sanders disappeared on one of those lonely roads. She was 17, full of life, and dreaming of leaving her small Arizona town to study in California. But one Friday night, after a small party with friends, Emily's life took a turn that no one could explain. It was a warm evening in July. The sun was gone, but the air was still heavy with heat. Emily left the party around 11 p.m. She told her best friend, Sarah, that she was heading home. Her car, an old red Honda, was parked a few blocks away. Sarah remembered Emily smiling and saying, "I'll text you when I get home." That text never came. The next morning, Emily's parents woke up early. Her bed was empty. Her phone was off. They thought maybe she had stayed over with a friend. But when Sarah came by later, pale and shaking, they knew something was wrong. Sarah told them Emily never made it home. By noon, the police were searching the desert roads outside town. Hours turned into days, and still no sign of Emily. Then, on the third day, a truck driver called 911. He said he saw a red car parked by Desert Route 89, miles away from the nearest gas station. The driver's door was open, the engine was off, and the keys were still in the ignition. When the police arrived, they found the car, but no Emily. Inside the vehicle were her purse, phone, and a half-empty water bottle. There were no signs of a struggle. It looked as if she had just stepped out for a moment and never returned. The ground outside showed a few footprints leading away from the car, then disappearing into the sand. Days passed. Search teams and helicopters scanned miles of land, but found nothing. No tracks, no torn clothes, no body. It was as if the desert had swallowed her whole. Locals started whispering strange things. Some said they had seen a young woman in white walking along that same road at night. Truckers reported seeing a figure appear suddenly in their headlights and vanish before they could stop. One man even claimed to have picked her up, saying she asked for a ride home, but when he looked at her again in the rearview mirror, the seat was empty. Police dismissed these stories as imagination desert illusions. But the fear in town grew. Every family warned their daughters not to drive alone after dark. Years later, in 2006, a new clue appeared. A hiker found a piece of jewelry buried in the sand, a silver bracelet engraved with the name Emily. It was found just 2 miles from where her car had been abandoned. But again, there was no other trace. The case went cold. Detectives reviewed everything. Phone records, friends, suspects. But there was nothing solid. Some believed she was kidnapped by someone passing through town. Others thought she might have run away and met a terrible fate in the desert. But the strangest theory came from a retired officer named Mark Benson. He believed Emily never left that road. He said the place where her car was found had a dark history. Back in the 1950s, an entire family had vanished from that same stretch of highway. Their car was found the same way. Doors open, keys in the ignition, no bodies ever found. Locals began calling it the Road of Silence. Even today, more than 25 years later, Emily's case remains unsolved. Her parents still live in the same house, keeping her room exactly as she left it. Her mother says sometimes she hears soft knocks on the window at night, the same way Emily used to knock when she forgot her keys. When she opens the curtain, no one is there. Just the cold Arizona wind blowing through the desert. Some people think the truth will never be known. Others believe that road keeps its secrets, taking those who wander too close. And maybe, just maybe, when the moon is high and the desert quiets, Emily is still out there, trying to find her way home. The story of Emily Sanders still echoes through the small Arizona towns. But she wasn't the only one who vanished without a trace. 2 years after Emily disappeared, another mystery began, one that still chills the people who live near Canyon Creek, a place known for its deep forests, rocky cliffs, and a silence so heavy that even birds seem afraid to sing. It started in the summer of 2001. A group of 4 friends, Jake, Lena, Tom, and Maria, decided to go camping near Canyon Creek for the weekend. They were all in their early 20s, college students looking for a short break before exams. Jake was the one who planned everything. He loved adventure and promised everyone that Canyon Creek had the best night sky in Arizona. No one could have guessed it would be their last trip together. On Friday morning, they packed their tent, food, and a small video camera. Lena loved recording their adventures. She said she wanted to make a mini documentary about camping in the wild. The group left Phoenix around 10 a.m. and reached the forest by afternoon. They parked their car near the old forest Route 12, then hiked 3 miles down to the creek. Everything seemed perfect. The group laughed, set up their tent, and cooked marshmallows by the fire. In one of the videos later found by police, you can see them smiling and singing while the sun goes down behind the trees. The camera shakes as Lena laughs. Tom jokes, "If we disappear, at least this camera will tell our story," Teo lug, not knowing how true his words would become. The next morning, the group planned a short hike to explore the cliffs nearby. They left the tent around 8 a.m., taking only a small backpack and the camera. By evening, when they didn't return, a park ranger noticed their campfire still burning but no one around. At first, he thought they might have gone swimming or exploring, but when night fell and they didn't come back, he contacted the sheriff's office. The search began the next day. More than 50 people, officers, dogs, and volunteers, searched the area. They found signs of the group's trail for the first 2 miles, then nothing. No footprints, no clothes, no remains. It was as if the 4 friends had stepped into the forest and vanished into thin air. 3 days later, rescuers found something strange. About a mile away from their last known trail, a local hiker found the video camera lying near a rock. The lens was cracked, and the tape inside was half broken. The police sent it for recovery, and what they found was terrifying. The last few minutes of the video showed the group walking through the forest, laughing as usual. Then, the camera shook suddenly. You could hear Jake say, "What's that?" There was a rustling sound, like heavy breathing mixed with wind. Tom shouted, "Run!" The camera fell to the ground, showing only darkness and the sound of footsteps and screaming. Then silence. The video ended there. The footage sent waves of fear through the town. People began calling the area the Vanishing Woods. Some said there was something evil in those trees, something that didn't want to be found. Others believed it was human, maybe a killer living deep in the forest, hiding in the caves. But even with helicopters, drones, and months of searching, not a single trace of the 4 friends was ever discovered. In 2003, a hunter claimed he found human bones near Canyon Creek. Police rushed to the site, but the bones turned out to be from an old animal. Still, strange reports kept coming. Campers said they heard voices at night, laughter echoing through the trees. Some said they saw lights moving deep in the woods, like flashlights waving in the dark. One couple swore they saw a woman in hiking clothes walking between the trees, whispering something. When they called out to her, she disappeared into the fog. A local ranger named Frank Doyle worked on the case for over 10 years. He said the forest around Canyon Creek has a strange energy. He claimed his compass would stop working near a certain cliff area, and once, while searching for clues at night, he heard a voice call his name from behind him. But no one was there. He never went back after that. Some theories say the group got lost, fell into one of the many hidden sinkholes, and were never found. Others think someone lured them deeper into the woods. But there's one theory. Locals whisper after dark that the forest itself took them. They say Canyon Creek was once home to an ancient native village that vanished centuries ago. The tribe believed the forest was alive, a spirit that punished those who disrespected it. And maybe those 4 campers had disturbed something they shouldn't have. Even today, no new evidence has been found. Every year, new campers visit Canyon Creek, and some never stay the night. They say once the sun sets, the forest changes. It grows too quiet. And sometimes, if you listen closely, you can still hear faint laughter in the dark. The sound of 4 friends lost forever. The case remains open, for families still wait for answers. But Canyon Creek keeps its secrets buried deep under the roots and rocks, far from human eyes. And as long as no one dares to return to that place, the mystery will remain unsolved. In the quiet town of Redstone, Arizona, there stands an old roadside motel called the Desert Moon Inn. From the outside, it looks like any other cheap place travelers might stop for the night. Faded blue paint, a flickering neon sign, and a dusty parking lot that stays almost empty. The locals know better. They know about room 13, a room that hasn't been rented in over 20 years, because the last person who stayed there was never seen again. It was a cold night in November 2003. A man named David Miller, a 32-year-old traveling salesman, checked into the Desert Moon Inn. He was on his way to Phoenix after a long business trip. The owner, an elderly woman named Mrs. Crane, gave him the keys to room 13. The only one left that night, David signed the guest book, smiled politely, and said he just needed a place to rest. No one knew those would be the last words anyone ever heard from him. At first, everything seemed normal. Around the p.m., another guest said they saw David sitting outside his room, smoking a cigarette. He looked tired but calm. Later, a night trucker passing by the motel said he noticed the light in room 13 flickering, like the bulb was struggling to stay alive. Then, around midnight, the light went out completely. The next morning, Mrs. Crane knocked on David's door to remind him checkout was at 10. No answer. She waited a few minutes, then used the spare key. Inside, the room looked empty. The bed unmade, the TV still on, showing static. David's suitcase sat open on the chair, his clothes neatly folded. But David himself was gone. At first, she thought maybe he had left early, but when she went to clean the bathroom, she froze. The mirror was fogged up, and written across it, in shaky letters, were the words, "Don't look for me." Police arrived within an hour. They searched every inch of the motel. No blood, no signs of struggle. David's car was still parked outside. Keys inside the ignition. His wallet, phone, and ID were all untouched. The door had been locked from the inside. It was impossible. As if he had vanished into thin air. Detectives questioned Mrs. Crane and every guest who stayed that night. No one heard anything unusual, except one woman in the next room. She said she heard faint knocking sounds around midnight. 3 knocks, then silence. She assumed it was someone at another door. But when the police checked the security camera, something strange appeared. The footage from that night showed David walking to his room at 9:52 p.m. He unlocked the door, entered, and closed it behind him. After that, no one came in or out. Yet, around 2 a.m., the hallway light flickered, and a faint shadow moved under his door. Then, nothing. The motel was searched again, but nothing was found. No hidden exits, no broken windows, no secret rooms, just a strange chill that seemed to hang around room 13. Mrs. Crane said that after David's disappearance, strange things began happening. Guests complained of whispers in the night. One said they saw someone standing behind the curtain, even though the room was locked and empty. Another swore they heard a man's voice say, "Please don't open the door." Mrs. Crane finally decided to close the room for good. So locked it, nailed it shut, and told everyone it was for storage. But people still talked. Truckers passing by said they could see a dim light flickering behind the curtains, even though the room had no electricity connected. Some said they saw a figure standing at the window, staring out toward the desert road. In 2008, 5 years after David's disappearance, a young couple stopped at the Desert Moon Inn during a storm. They didn't know the motel's dark history. When they arrived, every room was full, except one, room 13. At first, Mrs. Crane refused. She said, "That room isn't for guests." But the couple insisted. They were tired, wet, and desperate for shelter. Finally, she gave in, warning them not to open the door if they heard anything strange. Later that night, around 1:30 a.m., the couple heard soft knocking on the door. 3 knocks. There. He froze. Then they heard a voice. "Hello?" Male, whispering. "Help me, please. The man opened the door slightly, but no one was there. Only the cold desert wind blowing through the hallway. When he turned around, his girlfriend was gone. The bed was empty. The bathroom light was flickering. The mirror was fogged up, and across it again were the words, "Don't look for me." She was found hours later, wandering outside near the desert road, barefoot and shaking. She couldn't remember what happened inside the room. She only said one thing over and over. He was standing in the mirror. After that, room 13 was sealed permanently. Police tried to investigate again, but there was no proof of anything supernatural and no sign of David Miller. To this day, his family still hopes for answers, but none have ever come. Today, the desert moon still stands, though it rarely gets guests anymore. The neon sign flickers weakly, like it's too tired to glow. Room 13 remains locked. Some say if you stay in the room next to it, you can still hear soft knocks late at night. 3 knocks. Always 3. And sometimes, if the night is quiet enough, you can hear a man's whisper through the wall. "Don't look for me." Even now, local police call it one of Arizona's strangest cold cases. No one knows what happened to David Miller, or to the others who heard his voice. But one thing is certain. Some rooms are never meant to be opened. For years, 3 Arizona cold cases stayed unsolved. Emily Sanders, the girl who vanished on Desert Road, for campers who disappeared in Canyon Creek, and David Miller, the man who was last seen in motel room 13. Different stories, different places, but all near one road route. 89, known by locals as the Road of Silence. In 2010, a journalist named Rachel Evans began connecting the cases. She found strange burned circles in the sand near every site, and discovered that each person vanished within 20 miles of the same point in the desert. When Rachel went there to investigate, she recorded everything. She spoke into a recorder. "I think I've found where it all connects." Then the air turned cold. She heard voices crying, whispering, calling her name. And from the shadows, she saw them, a girl in white, 4 campers, and a man standing near a motel door, all whispering the same words. "Don't look for me." Her camera fell. The recording ended with static. Rachel was never seen again. 2 days later, her car was found near Route 89. The recorder was still inside. When police played it, they heard only a whisper. She found it. Now, people avoid that road at night. Some say they still see lights moving in the desert. Others hear knocking from an empty motel room. And those who go looking for the truth never come back. So remember, if you ever drive down Route 89 after midnight and hear a voice whisper, "Don't look for me," do yourself a favor. Don't